musing on the absurdity of a video camera being here in our midst right now, actually, because being part of this medium is feels quite ridiculous. There aren't any screens in this valley at all. Our calculator, there is a little calculator with a screen about yay big. We say, well, you have to be here and live it. There's so many things that aren't communicated through voice or through this medium. All the other senses need to be employed as well. You can't smell our long drop toilet on the screen, and it's just behind us here somewhere. If you go around there, you can smell it. That's part of being here.
I give to you as you gave to me. All my hands I give to you. You suffered for the sake no woman, we might live with you. For may we show our gratefulness in what we say and do. All my hands I give to you, oh Lord. All my hands I give to you. I give to you as you gave to me. All my hands I give to you.
This little area, this top end of the Whirinaki Valley by the river here is called Maikio, short for Whakarongo Maikio, which means a place to listen to the ambience, to listen to the atmosphere, to the mood. It's had that name from, you know, way back, and the local people used this as that sort of place, and that's another reason we don't use machinery. The interference to the ambience of the place by the noise of a motor. We like to respect what they recognised in this place already. I don't know how people can live without a river coming through their house every now and then.
So it comes through the house every now and again?
Yeah, it's a fairly regular but non-interrupting occurrence.
It does interrupt.
Well, it changes what you're doing at that time because you have to sweep the mud out afterwards, but yeah, we just like it that keeps us connected with the river. It's out here so life-giving all the time, and just the power of water and how it can destroy things as well. Puts you out of your human-made routines.
That isn't actually something. Oh, really?
What really got me was Peter Moran's, him and his approach, and his back to the land, manual labour, work harder for less pay, strikes don't strike me. All that really appeals to me. You know, I've not had much to do with social activism and those side of things at all, but everything he was observing and saying was necessary back in the 30s, you know, is much more compounded now and even more necessary. But he was, you know, he was brave enough to say it in the face of a ideology that said scientific progress, scientific farming, mechanisation, industrialisation is the answer to all life's ills. Yeah, he was a voice saying, no, it's stuffing it up. The very system is flawed. We like what he says, make an environment where it's easier to be good. You know, good in the whole sense of good, the goodness of life. I think our choices was a simple lifestyle, voluntary simplicity, or we now say voluntary poverty, though we always feel way too rich to claim that, but we aim for it, was just a personal preference for that lifestyle to start with, and it picked up an ideology along the way that it's much better for the planet and for humanity if people can become less consumeristic. But it actually started just as a personal preference because life's actually a whole lot easier. It's perhaps manually, physically more difficult, demanding, but even that, when you get lots of kids growing up, that gets shared out as well, you know, so it's actually just a whole lot easier to live like this. If you've seen the journey your food's taken just from the garden across the river into the kitchen, you know it hasn't been implicated in a whole lot of systems that we don't believe in, that we think are intrinsically destructive. This food's more than its goodness and calories, you know, it hasn't been part of what's destroying the planet. And I mean, that's an attractive thing to live with too. I mean, it's a privilege.
Sometimes, like in spring and early summer, when the big crops have kind of that we've stored have finished, like the pumpkins and kumaras and that, it's and the next lot's just coming on. There can be a time when it's when there's kind of not so many options, and that tends to be the time when we have lots of people, and often it feels like, oh, you know, sometimes I think, oh, what have we got? But I love having to experience that, because each time a big, beautiful meal, you know, it just works. It's just a miracle time.
I was only given a little handful of white maize seed, and last year I grew a small patch in this garden which gave us enough for seed for the next year and forage for about 3 weeks. But this year, just 1 year, and I could grow as big a paddock as I want of it. You know, one seed becomes 400 seeds. It's just amazing. Amazing. And this year the temperature was so low it didn't happen. It stopped, and some of the corn stopped growing for a while, and now it's carried on, but it didn't stop maturing, so our sweet corn, which is flowering now, is shorter than normal, and it's quite a tragic feel about it. And I don't know what the maize, how it's going to go with that too. It's still looking good, but yeah, it's just that sense of identity, you know. I can understand that the spirit, you know, the mauri of plants that you are so integrated with, it does affect the person as well. It's perceived as a movement, a city-based movement with houses of hospitality, activism, peace activism, with country places that you can go to for rest, retreat, recuperation, a little bit of getting in touch with nature or whatever. And particularly from Peter Moran, it's meant to be a land-based movement. And with city houses and activism groups that come out from there, but at the centre, the base of it is land-based, and I talk with that.